Hello, creeps and curiosities. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you're not new, and welcome in if you are. Today, we are going to test my mummy dust. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just ignore that. There's a niche community of people who will understand what I'm talking about. Moving on. Today, we are talking about a topic that is so niche and so strange and so disgusting, you will never look at your sarcophagus the same again. You don't have a sarcophagus? Have you ever wondered why when you were a kid and you would constantly dig in the dirt, like, you know, all kids dig in the dirt. Have you ever wondered why you never dug up a mummy? Kind of bullshit. Real talk though, mummies are revered, extremely rare to find them in extremely good condition. Like, it's like, we don't have very many of them. Probably, you'd think probably because they're old as hell, Melody. Duh, no wonder we don't have very many of them. But the actual reason is because we ate them all. Come on. Spit it out. Well, not we, as in me and you, but we, as in people this color, because medieval Europeans, specifically the Brits, ate lots of mummies. Just gobbled them right up. And that is one of the true reasons mummies are so rare in the world of archaeology. Grab your tongue depressors, grab your gauze, grab your herbs, and maybe some hand sanitizer. Let's dig in. Picture this. The Middle Ages in Europe. Disease is rampant, no antibiotics, barely any clean water. There's shit just flowing out into the streets. And of course, people turn to literally every means possible in order to stay healthy. Among the oddest cures was something called mummia. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, okay, so we made a medicine out of dead mummy bodies. No! Quit getting ahead of yourself. Some people pronounce it mummia, but it's probably more likely pronounced mumia in this context. The word comes from the Persian word mum, because this was a substance that was found in the mountainsides of Persia, and the word mum in Persia means wax. It was a tar-like black substance that many Arabs of the time in the Middle Ages used for healing properties. It was applied to people with ailments in addition to minerals and herbs and other things like that. But the white people, if there's one thing that we can do, it's misinterpret some shit. So in the Middle Ages, specifically probably the 12th century, around the 1100s, they catch word that in Arab countries, they use this healing substance called mumia. Well, that gets mistranslated, and they thought they were saying mummia, as in something made of mummies. So instead of like a tar, wax-like substance with healing properties, the Europeans just started grinding up dead people. And that's true. That you can Google me. Mumia actually was later known to the Europeans as mummy powder or mummy dust. Okay, I'll stop bringing it up. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go watch my ghost lore video. Peace and love. This whole mistranslation caused a huge craze for eating ancient dead bodies. The Europeans thought that if you ground up or ingested parts of the mummy, it might cure your headache, cure diseases, and even help you with depression or anxiety. Which begs the question, how does one eat a mummy? Firstly, I want to talk about how absolutely disgusting this is, because this is, a lot of people kind of separate mummies from people because they're so old and they don't even really resemble humans anymore because they're all dried up and wrapped and elaborately displayed and things like that. But I think it's important to remember that mummies were people. That's like common knowledge, like of course mummies are people. But I think a lot of times we as a society really disconnect that mummy used to be a living, breathing person. European explorers ventured to Egypt and made it a point to loot these tombs to make mummia, which isn't even what mummia was. These embalmed corpses became a raw ingredient in European apothecaries. Europeans of the Middle Ages sold mummy powder in pharmacies. It was mingled with plant extracts, alcohol, and all sorts of weird stuff, probably cocaine, heroin, who fucking knows. It got to a point where mummy consumption was so popularized that they stopped putting it into powders and creams and other medicinal products, and people just started ripping off pieces of the mummies and boiling them and eating them in the Middle Ages for hoping to get some kind of medicinal property from that, which is cannibalism. That's cannibalism! And it got to the point where the ancient Egyptians hid the mummies so well. These medieval Europeaners, they couldn't find all of the mummies, right? So when the mummy stock ran low in Europe, they started faking mumia. Oh, like grinding up powder and saying that the powder is made of mummies? No, dumbass, they made fake mummies out of recent dead people. Come on, that was obvious. Fresh corpses, usually the remains of recently executed criminals, as well as some random bodies that people just dug up, were used as fake mummies, and their bodies were turned into medicine. It doesn't really matter, they just wanted to eat some dead people, okay? Some people even stole these corpses and fake embalmed them and fake wrapped them in order to trick people into thinking they were actually mummies and sold them for profit on black markets. And it got to a point where it wasn't just mummies being used for mumia. A lot of people thought there was medicinal properties in all parts of dead bodies, like fat, secretions from the skull, blood, even parts of headstones, tombstones, and the moss growing on it. I guess they thought that, you know what, if it's anything remotely related to death, it's gotta have some kind of medicinal property, right? Fast forward to the Victorian era. Now, many people argue that Victorians ate mummies, and that's not proven to be a fact, but the Victorians were some freaks about some mummies. Similar to a way where we make a lot of media about the Victorians made a lot of media and had a lot of talk about the ancient Egyptians. It was actually a fad called Egyptomania. Everything vaguely Egyptian was all the rage in the Victorian era of the United Kingdom, from sarcophagi, huge archaeological expeditions the rich and famous would often go on. Everyone wanted a little piece of that exotic antiquity, if you know what I'm saying, including taking mummies home. Mummy unwrapping parties were a huge thing in the Victorian era, which seems extremely disrespectful. But when you think about it, that's someone's final resting position. That's their body as it was when they died, just preserved. The fact that there was like such a level of like cognitive dissonance that prevented the Victorians from really recognizing that, hey, this is somebody. This was a living, breathing person. And they just went ahead and unwrapped them is like, oh, come on, bro. You could attend mummy unwrapping parties at colleges, lecture halls, and even in the privacy of your own home. People would unwrap the mummies for entertainment, and presumably they would sniff the aroma that was excreted, which I don't really know how much of an aroma can be excreted when it's like thousands of years old, bro. So part of the reason that there are so few mummies to this day, and when these big giant science places like Smithsonian find one, it's a huge deal, is because we ate them. We fucking ate them all. Well, that's like a part of it anyway. Looting and export was a huge deal. European powers, private collectors, and archaeologists from days past, like centuries ago, removed mummies from tombs and shipped them back to their home countries. Many got destroyed, damaged, or sold in the process and have since been lost. If they weren't eating them, they damn sure were exploiting them, basically. By the early 19th and 20th century, they decided that there was really no medicinal properties of eating dead people. Shocker to everyone, I guess. But by then, the looting damage was already done, and hundreds, if not thousands of mummies had already been poorly transported, eaten, snorted, sniffed, crushed, or just deteriorated from poor handling. This isn't just morbid trivia. I think it is a really dark part of our history, showing how disrespectful we can be to the dead. And I think it's crazy that the Victorians were even in on this to an extent, because they loved, you know, immortalizing someone through their death. Like these mourning parties they had, death photography, elaborate funerals. You would think that the Victorians of all groups of history would be more respectful of the dead, but nope. It's a convoluted, mysterious tale about how little we understood infection in the Middle Ages, and we actually thought eating dead bodies would help when it probably hurt more than anything else. And it's a cautionary tale about colonial mindset, the looting, treating human remains like a commodity, ignoring the ethics of the culture that had been stolen. It's all just really messed up. Are mummies rare from just gobbling them up alone? No, of course not. Natural decay, tomb robbers, looters, climate change, war, neglect, that all factors into the fact of why mummies are so sparse. But it is absolutely absolutely jarring to think about the idea we even ate them in the first place. Our greed sickens me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. My name is Melody. This channel's called Melody Ever After. I talk about all sorts of things that are freaky, geeky, and spooky, especially in the realms of horror movies, video games, and urban legends. So if that interests you, maybe check me out. Please check me out. Please check me out. Please check me out. Be sure to ring that bell too if you haven't yet, if you're already subscribed, so you'd never miss an upload. I promise that no mummies were harmed in the making of this script. Or were they? Stay creepy, stay curious. I'll catch you in the next one. Until next time.